Welcome to the Detroit Sports Room, your home for Detroit sports news and information. Now, here's Jim.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Detroit Sports Room. And who's in the room today but Andrew of the Real Detroit Lions Fans? All right. How's it going, Andrew?
Dude, I'm doing great, Jim. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. Second one today, so I'm a little tired. I'm going to take my little nap. I'm old, so. All right. My first question for you is, how did you become a Detroit Lions fan?
So originally, I was a huge Pistons fan. I was a Red Wings fan, Tigers fan, and this was like early 2000s. And kind of once our starting lineup got separated for the Detroit Pistons, I started looking elsewhere because I was so irritated that they got rid of Sheed and Rip and all of them. So I started watching football. I have a lot of family members that watch football, and it wasn't the greatest at first, so I wasn't too into it. And then Dylan, who is one of my best buddies, he was like, yo, let's play fantasy, So then I'm like, oh man, I really got to get into this. And I started watching Stafford play every single Sunday. And I mean, he's so electrifying. And when you have a good quarterback, it just makes the game interesting, And we always were just a high scoring offense. So it just made it really interesting to watch the games.
So you started getting into it when Charlie Villanueva was a Piston. No, I'm kidding.
Right now. Dang, that's a lot. That's a throwback.
Ben Gordon.
Right, just seriously.
Well, it's when they sucked, so I was just trying to go back to that point,
That is around then, though. I mean, honestly.
It really is. So you got into this thing and doing this fantasy stuff. How did the podcast come along? Or how did the YouTube thing come along?
Yeah, so me and Real have been talking every single Sunday for years. We're talking Lions, and we're also talking fantasy football, just nonstop on Sundays. So a couple years back, he hit me up and was like, yo, we should start a YouTube page. And I was in college, and I told him no repeatedly, and I just finished up with my master's, so he was like, hey, let's start it. And I kind of just gave it the thumbs up. And so we figured if we were already going to talk that much about football, why not just record it? So that's pretty much how we started. And then, we met the DSA and everyone else, and we've kind of just expanded from there.
That's really similar to how we started out. It was me and Tim, and we'd always argue over Stafford and different things. And I'm serious. It was always like, back and forth.
Right.
And we got really, really pissed off one weekend. It was something about the reps or something. And we were just like, you know what? Forget it. I started listening to this podcast. It was called Lions in the Basement. It was like years ago. And all they would do is drink and bitch about the Lions. And I was like, these are my people, man. Nobody else is talking about the refs and how we get screwed and all this stuff that I'm feeling on the inside. That, when they go up to the podium. Do you think the refs cost you the game? Oh, no, I think we cost us the game because we played better. Shut up.
That's such a scripted line, man.
I hate
such
that
a scripted
so
line.
much. These guys were just, it was almost like they were throwing stuff in their living room. You know what I'm saying? It was that type of atmosphere. So me and Tim decided to make what was called Lions on the Prowl at the time, and then we went forward and started making our own stuff, kind of along the same vein, and it just evolved from there. But it's so similar. We were just talking about it, hey, why don't we just record this stuff, and see what happens, and we did, and all the way here today. So yeah, so. You formed. When did you join the DSA? And I appreciate you because you're a fellow DSA member coming on with me. That's cool.
Well, thanks for having me, first off. I think we joined in like February or January, something like that. It was after the regular season had finished. Mm-hmm. So I think it was around playoff time, which would be like early January. So we haven't even been, in the DSA for the regular season, which is very exciting for the Lions considering we haven't had a post-season appearance in a couple of years.
Right. See, I haven't either. So I don't. Yeah. This is all new to me too. So we're all going into the season like, what do we do now?
Right, it'll be hype though.
Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be great if we have a season. So let's talk a little bit of Lions, and we'll talk a little bit more about what you do in a minute too.
Okay.
So current Lions, what do you think about Matt Patricia?
Yeah, I think Matt Patricia is very smart in the sense of he has been successful, with defenses in the league. but I want to see that translate. You know, I get what you've done in the past is fantastic, but it's what's happening in the present that matters. So until he shows me something, you know, I'm not on the Matt Patricia bandwagon. I need to see a double-digit season or something I haven't seen before, or else I'm definitely
like
going to be
winning season. Oh.
Right. So, or I'm definitely going to be on the train of, you know, get this guy out of here.
No, I get it, man. I'm kind of in the same boat. I talked to a couple guys. This one guy, the first one I ever did, the pro football or history dude or whatever, he had talked to Dick Vermeil, and Dick Vermeil said that he was, you know, he liked Patricia, that we should give him time. And I hear that from a lot of people who really know football, like coaches and stuff like that from before. So I'm like, I really don't like a lot of things he does, but yet, man, if it would what would you give up for a championship, though? Would you suffer through like 4 or 5 more years of this crap just if you knew there was going to be a championship?
I 100% would.
Yeah, me too.
I know we were talking about this on the roundtable the other day, and people were like, would you be excited if you got a championship during this year when there's all the COVID stuff going on? And me and you were on the same page. We're just like, I would do anything. I would be so happy because it's like, it's a championship. So 5 years from now, we've already waited, you know, century, it feels like
50 years. It's no big deal.
Yeah. So like, I'll wait 5 years if it means, you know, a Super Bowl win. So
right. Yeah, me too. I'm with you on it. I definitely am. If we had a season this year, it's starting to become a bigger if every day. To me, it is anyway. Until they actually play a game in any capacity, I'm still doubtful. But if they do, what do you see the Lions being this year? I don't mean record-wise. I'm just saying. Do you think they have a possibility to win the division? Where do you see them, you know, finishing out?
Yeah, so as long as we have Stafford, I believe we definitely can be in any game. It's going to come down to our defense and Matt Patricia, who is supposed to be a defensive guru. I think that we brought a lot of coaches and players that know the system, know what we want to bring, and we want to bring that smash mouth football back. So I feel we can contend for the NFC North, given none of the other teams in our division really upgraded. You know, if anything, they kind of stayed the same.
I think they went backwards in some
cases.
Yeah,
I agree.
Minnesota went backwards, in my opinion. Green Bay did some really weird stuff, but I don't know what's going to happen with them. Aaron Rodgers come out with the chip on his shoulder, like, I'm going to prove to the world I'm the best guy, and this guy's an idiot that they drafted, and I could do it with nobody and all this stuff. We could get that Aaron Rodgers, or we get the crybaby Aaron Rodgers that we're used to. I just don't know which one we're going to get, to be honest.
Right.
Really, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, so when I look at it, you know, I think we can contend. I think our roster is very talented. It's going to come down to the coaches and seeing if they can put it together. But I think the coaches we brought in have been able to do that with less. I think our talent is a lot better than, you know, what Tennessee had at linebacker, what the Eagles had in the secondary, you know, with Undelin and the Titans linebacker coach. So I feel like we have a lot better pieces. And so if the coaches can do what they did in with those other teams, I think we can be really successful on defense. And then all we need is Stafford to stay healthy, and I believe we can be any team.
So you think Corey Undlin and some of the different pieces that we got from, you know, some of the assistants and things like that is going to make a big deal of difference here? That's what you're saying?
Oh, big time. I mean, when it comes to it, you can have the most talented team in the world, and if you have awful coaching, you're not going to be successful. And the prime example of that is the Rams. I have always said the Rams had such a talented roster. And as soon as they got rid of Jeff Fisher, they went 13-3, you know, and I don't think Jared Goff is a great quarterback by any means. It's just the fact that they finally put the talent into the right place and they coached them up well and they had a good scheme. So I think if we can do that with the new coaches we brought in, I think we can be really successful.
And they somehow seem to defy the salary cap. But
yeah, every single year.
Doesn't it seem like that in LA LA Rams? Oh my goodness. It does. It seems like they've got so many players on their team, and if we get 3 of those guys, we're up against the cap.
I've been telling Real for the last couple of years, I'm like, I don't understand how they still have cap space because all their players are like $80 million, $100 million contracts. And we had 3 at one point with Calvin, Sue, and Stafford, and we were just broke.
Yep, and we had no money at all for years. We had to get rid of one of them basically to have anything else, you know. Yeah, it was crazy. And I agree. I think there's a lot of that going around. I asked this question to most everybody. So I'm going to ask you. Do you believe in the Detroit versus everybody thing where you think the refs are, I'm not going to say out to get us, but it looks like the NFL and the refs, another week 5 bye week, another, screw job last year in Green Bay, and you can point to almost every year that this seems to happen. Are you on the side of Detroit versus everybody, yes, we're getting screwed, or are you like, we're not playing well enough to win?
So I 100% am on that bandwagon. I just when it happens week in, week out every single year, and it takes literally ex players, coaches to come out this past season to be like, the Lions got screwed. Yep. And it's finally getting recognized. I feel like people are starting to realize, like, hey, the Lions are getting screwed. Like the Packers game this past season. Mm-hmm. The hands to the face, like Flowers has never gotten called that in his career, and then you call it 2 times in one drive. There's a lot of things that happen. I've seen incomplete passes. I saw a pass against, I believe he was still with the Giants. Odell, the ball hit him in the chest, bounced on the ground, popped back up, and he caught it. And they ruled it. Yeah, they ruled it a completion. And so there's so many things. The touchdown where the running back's knee hit the ground hard as can be. He pops up and just starts running into end zone. We challenge it, and they rule it a touchdown because you can't challenge it. It's a scoring play.
And it's a Thanksgiving Day game. It's Houston that was the first people they're playing. And I think it was Fournette that was the guy that caught the ball. Forsett, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
It's okay.
And so he gets his knee down, and Schwartz is all pissed. He has the vein popping in his head, and so he's throwing the flag, and I love Schwartz for that. I'm sorry, I thought he was one of the fieriest coaches we've had, and I loved it.
Super passionate.
So he throws the flag, and the refs go, okay, now not only are we not going to review it and get it right, because we don't want to do that in the first place. Now we're going to get you a 15-yard penalty for doing that in the first place. It's like, what?
And that's exactly what I'm talking about, though. Like these things are so absurd, and it's just like, how do you allow a scoring play to happen that was not a score, yep. And then we try challenging, and you're like, no, we're going to take your flag, your challenge. We're going to still give them the touchdown, and we're going to screw you. So every single year there's something like this happens. The Seattle game, the Cowboys game. Literally just mentioning that, everyone is picturing those plays, know? So I just am so sick of it, and I 100% am going to preach that to the world until I die or until things change.
Yep, me too. Here's the other thing, too. I am so sick of NFL apologies. So when Dean Blandino was like the vice president of officiating or president, whatever he was, and the Seattle game comes out the next day, yeah, we're sorry. The NFL, we're sorry. What the hell does that do? Mm-hmm. Sorry doesn't give us the win like we could have had. So I'm really upset with that. How do you feel about the NFL apology policy?
So I went on a rant on this past season. I went off on this. I was so livid because I was like, please, for the love of God, the Ford family, can you please just cuss out these refs or something and just stir it up? Because I am so sick of it. And they're just like, oh, we'll take your apology. No. If I was the owners, I would be taking every fine possible because I'm a billionaire, for one. And I would be cussing out the NFL. I would be cussing out the refs because I'm like, this is not acceptable. You can't screw us this much. You look at the games and you're like, there's no way they could screw us over, right? And it happens every single time. And when it happens that frequently, like, how do you not get mad? You're the owner. Don't you want to have a prestigious, like, franchise team, and instead they don't say a single thing. And then the NFL is just like, we apologize for getting it wrong. How are you getting it wrong? How is it that they knew the rule in hindsight, but not during the game? And it just pisses me off because it's like, you're not showing the fans that you care. Like, if you're an owner, you need to show the fans you care. Mark Cuban, Jerry, a lot of owners come out and they speak their mind. They'll take that fine because they're like, no, this is BS.
Yep.
But they don't do that for us.
Not
and so it's
Lions.
like, you want us to buy your merchandise. You want us to go to the games and support your team. and you just say, well, we're going to do better and we have to do better. It shouldn't come down to a play. No, the refs dictate the entire game. So it drives me absolutely nuts to see the ownership not say or do anything about it.
I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think about T.J. Lang, too, who we got from Green Bay, who had hardly any – I don't think he had any holding penalties. Maybe one the year before.
Didn't seem like
10. It. He got 10 with the Lions, and he's like, what?
Yeah, and I don't even think he played a full season. He kept getting hurt over and over again.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he played the full season that first year or not, but I know he had 10 holding calls in that one season. But it just seems to me that it does seem like there's something out to get us or something like that. I don't want to be that kind of guy, conspiracy theory, UFOs and Bigfoot and Loch Ness and all this stuff. But I'm saying it does seem like something's happening. My proposal would be this. If it ends on like a Golden Tate runoff play or something the NFL even apologizes for, that the game should end in a tie. And here's why. We don't know if we would have won. I'll give you that. But we know damn well we wouldn't have lost.
Right.
So you can't prove that the other team would have won, and you can't prove Detroit would have won. So if you apologize, call it a tie.
See, I have a hard time with that because then the other team will be like, well, technically we won because we played after the fact on this play or this or that. But it's like, if you just ref the game how it should be, refed, we wouldn't have this problem. It wouldn't be a what if, scenario every single Sunday. Instead, it was, okay, we lost the game or we won the game, because that Tate with the touchdown, that's the most devastating feeling as a fan. You think you just won the game, and then they rule it that, no, not only did you not score a touchdown, but now we're going to take all the chance away by not allowing you to have another play because there's a 10-second runoff.
Absolutely.
How does that make sense?
And he was all that has to happen is the point of the ball is to break the plane of the goal line. It did that. Mm-hmm. I'm absolutely positive it did that.
Right.
So for me, it was a touchdown in the first place, and they took it away.
But that goes back to the whole Detroit versus everybody thing, right?
It really does. It really does. And it's like we're a couple of guys just chatting about that today, but, I'm not talking to some moron. I mean, you got a master's degree. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like we're normal, civilized people that actually see this game for what it is, and we see that they're making mistakes on a lot of our games. So it's just a very questionable thing. But as Lions fans, we have suffered through the years. But I love our fan base because they're loyal, because they stand by their team, and I don't think there's a more loyal fan base than ours. I just don't. I really don't.
Because you can't be a bandwagon Lions fan because we've never had that continuous success. I mean, honestly, we've never had that continuous success. So nobody can ever say, oh, you're a bandwagon Lions fan, because when have we been like the Patriots or Seattle or San Fran where all of a sudden we just got good and then there's a billion fans that you've never seen before, if you're a Lions fan, you are a diehard Lions fan, and I don't care what anybody says.
And they sell the place out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they're not being supported by the fans or anything like this, but they just never can get it right. And I'm hoping that they get it right soon before I die, to be honest.
I feel you.
Well, let's get back to you just a little bit. You said you got a master's degree in what? So
my master's degree is in speech language pathology.
So you can find pathological liars. No,
yeah, but it doesn't take a master's degree. Just some eyes and ears.
So he can listen to the refs every week and figure out what they're actually saying. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
I'm teasing. No, that's really cool, though. What do you do, if you don't mind?
That's fine. So my field is very vast. And for my setting specifically, I'm working in the nursing facility setting with the geriatric population. So I work with older adults. But yeah. But with my degree, I can work with from birth basically till death, so me specifically, I get patients that come into my facility that have COVID or they have traumatic brain injuries, strokes, heart attacks, they fell, hit their head. There's such a vast variety of things I work with, but I work with the cognitive aspect of things, so making sure that their brain is functioning well. That's the best way to put it. And if it's not because of any of those reasons I listed, I pretty much retrain their brain to get back to where they were, or give them, compensatory strategies to try and, help them out with, things that they do in their daily life. And then another thing I work with is swallowing disorders, otherwise known as dysphagia. So a lot of times post-stroke or post-intubation, people start having swallowing disorders. And this is becoming more prevalent because of COVID and everyone going on ventilators. So I just make sure, that they're eating safely, they're swallowing safely, so that they don't develop something like pneumonia, or aspiration pneumonia, which is, food going down past the airway. Yeah. And then they're coughing it up, aspirating. And it's just very dangerous, so I try and make sure people are safe and that they don't develop anything that could, put them at risk.
Going back to the linguistic stuff, so you're basically trying to form more neural pathways in the brain to be able to communicate it's based on probably, yeah, I understand it a bit, but you can explain it if you'd like.
So it's not necessarily forming the neural pathways, it's more so of reattaching them.
Oh, I get it.
Because the reason why I went with adults is adults had something that they now need to get again, compared to children that have never had it and you have to teach them. So I'm trying to bring it back with people. But let's say someone has a hard time with their comprehension, I can work with that. Let's say someone, they're now speaking gibberish, or you can't understand them, or there's so many things I can work on, honestly, that I could go on all day. But pretty much
it's really cool, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty much the output, what someone produces in terms of, their expressive abilities, and then also the understanding. And then the cognitive aspect would be like, some people that had a stroke, they might not be able to put their clothes on properly, and to you and I, that seems very simple, you put your underwear on, you put your socks on, pants, shirt, whatever it is, but they don't have the cognitive abilities to do that in order anymore.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't translate to the muscles correctly, and
Yep. So those signals aren't, like you said, they're not really transmitting properly. So we try and reform those neural pathways to get them functioning again and safely, which is the biggest priority.
How much of that is habit? I mean, habit of the individual, things coming back that they may have done over and over and over again that formed that muscle memory and the neural pathway in the first place. Can that come back quicker?
So it's kind of called neuroplasticity. Yes. So it's the brain's so the brain's ability to kind of bounce back, right? And I want to say sometimes, like, this is really hard because everyone's different, but like sometimes your brain can bounce back really quickly in a couple weeks. Sometimes it doesn't bounce back at all, and then others, it might take months. So everyone is different, and you'd be surprised. You could have the same stroke in 100 different individuals, and it could be different across the board.
Yeah,
so
everybody's different.
Yeah. So it's crazy. It's a very interesting field to be in.
It is. I read this book by Charles Duhigg. It's called The Power of Habit. And it was about kind of the same thing. There was a massive trauma to the frontal lobe, and the guy lost all his short-term memory. But yeah, he could go on a walk and come back and be just fine. Because it was something that he always did. He didn't have to think about it anymore. It was almost in his subconscious almost. And so he could cook certain foods and do certain things, but he didn't know who you were, what his name is, where he was, or any of those things. It's just incredible what habit can do for you. That's why I was referring to that real quick.
Yeah,
well,
and
off the beaten track, but
right. But I mean, even with the brain, each lobe of your brain controls something else. So, like you said, but it's very interesting, and the brain is a very, very tricky organ. So
it is.
Like I said, I could talk about this for days on end. So
and I think it would be interesting. People don't really understand that your brain isn't fixed. You know what I mean? That it can be changed, even thought processes and things habits that you've had for years and years and years. You can change anything if you put your mind to it, I guess is what you want to say.
If you just use the old noodle.
Ain't that the truth?
Right.
But I think your talent would be better served to figure out what the forwards are saying, and
I mean, if I could get close to them and just interact with them, I think that would be awesome.
See, that would be great. We're gonna plant you in there, so you can. Yeah, Patricia said this, but he really meant this,
Right.
I like that actually, but no, your field is very interesting. And what is the most difficult challenge that you've been through with the patient? You don't have to say patient's name or situation close to it, but I know you can't.
HIPAA laws.
Yeah. I've heard of them.
Right. So I'll just give a general sense.
Yeah.
And honestly, the hardest thing about being in my field is interacting with the family members, believe it or not.
Yes.
It is so devastating to talk to someone who, loves their mom, loves their dad, their brother, sister, whatever it is. And they're like, this is not my son. This is not my mom. And with COVID going on, they're not even allowed to come in the building because of all the precautions. And we, older, individuals are higher at risk. And so these people, right. Sorry, Jim, you just stay safe. Okay. It's so devastating, like that disconnect of, they can't see their loved ones. Their loved ones are going through a lot because the patients I've been seeing lately are in so much worse shape than I'm used to seeing just because of everything going on, or their surgeries or whatever it is got put on hold because of COVID, and it made their problems amplify tenfold. So it's so heartbreaking when you have a grown man crying in front of you about his parent or something. So it's really hard, and you have to be able to console that family member and then come to them and say, hey, I'm going to do my best to get your mom, back to functioning and talking and being able to communicate or swallowing safely or whatever it is, So it's for me, it's the family members, because they're still cognitively with it, and they just see that difference, and it is heartbreaking.
It is. What do you feel that, because of COVID and all that stuff, that the stress level of basically everybody has gone up, and that and how that affects you in what you do?
Yeah, I mean, pertaining to me, I'm not gonna lie, my stress levels have been through the roof because I'm constantly wearing gowns. I'm constantly breathing in, all that hot air that I'm blowing out because of my mask. I have to wear goggles. At one time, the building I worked at was actively accepting COVID patients. So, interacting with them, and it was just so stressful because every single day there was a new precaution or there was something else. People are dying, people are going comatose, whatever it is, it's very heartbreaking, and then people are quitting their jobs in my type of settings because they want to make sure their family's safe. They want to make sure, they're safe. So then you're short-staffed on top of it, which adds more stress. And I mean, just overall, the stress levels have been just crazy since March, just absolute crazy. People are quitting. People don't want to work. It's a scary time in the medical setting right now.
To be honest, those are the brave people, the people that are going in and doing what you do, and the doctors and everybody else involved, especially in a nursing home setting. That has got to be very difficult because all those people are highly susceptible to COVID and everything that's going on right now. And I can see where that stress and that thing would be, really, really high for you. And I appreciate what you do, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, seriously, I joke around with you a lot. But yeah, that's intense, right. Dude.
Well, that's part of it, man. And in times like these, with the stress levels being so high, you have to be able to joke and put a smile on people's face, and people tend to forget in a building, it takes a lot of different fields to run a building. So I always say thank you to housekeeping, to the kitchen staff, whatever it is, because they're not just interacting with the patients like I am, because it's my whole job is interacting with patients, but they're a part of that, and they still do interact with the patients, so they're at risk, and their job is just as important as mine, and that's how I look at it, is everyone's equal in my building. We all play a vital role, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And he's a Lions fan on top of it, folks. He's depressed as hell.
Oh, man, that's not where I thought you were going.
I'm just kidding.
But yes.
So we really still feel sorry for you, Andrew.
Well, thank you.
So your channel, what do you see you guys doing in the next 5 years?
Whew, that's a good question. I mean, me and Real, we play it by year. So we've been crazy busy lately, with promotions or just the outbreak. So as a whole, our page has not been as productive as it once was, but also, there's not as much content. So we just see ourselves keep growing and growing a community that loves to talk sports, you know, Lions specifically, and then fantasy football. So we just started talking some fantasy football. I definitely am passionate about fantasy football, and so is Real. We've both won many championships. You know,
Look
so
at you.
right. But you know, we just want to spread the knowledge, and we want to create a community that wants to interact and talk, you know, football. Because
so I'm not a fantasy dude at all. I mean, zero knowledge whatsoever about the subject. So for the people out there that don't know a little about it, why don't you explain it a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much there's the point system in terms of stats. So you have a starting lineup, and every league is different, but you have a quarterback, you have a couple running backs, a couple wide receivers, tight end, and a kicker, and a defense. So they pretty much score it based off how many yards, touchdowns, receptions that your players score on that given week, and then you add it all together, and then you versus someone else's team.
And see how they do.
Yeah.
And you said you won championships in this.
Oh, yeah.
You don't start any Lions players. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what? When it comes to fantasy football, I'm 100% unbiased because I want to win. So I don't value Lions players above anyone else, but I do have the inside scoop because I am a diehard Lions fan. So I know our players a little bit better. You know, so
you can pick somebody up that somebody else might not know.
Right. So a tidbit, Marvin Jones is a freaking sleeper every single year. He finishes with over 1,000 yards, around 8 touchdowns. Go get my boy. Don't sleep on him. All you fans that are not, you know, from Detroit or know Michigan sports, go get him. There's a little tidbit for you.
There you go. There's a little tip from the guru of fantasy football over here. No, I mean, okay, let's dive a little deeper into that. Not much, but a little bit.
Okay.
I want to know, without giving up your secrets or whatever, who do you really like this year going into fantasy for a team, or what's the best player out there you think?
Ooh, see, the best player is hard because it's...
Well, we won't do that.
No, that's
okay. It's too hard for you.
Right. So when it comes to fantasy, you always want to go volume first, in my opinion, because that means they're getting the touches, they're getting the targets, and that's what you want. Then they just need to execute. So Christian McCaffrey, absolute stud. If not him, Saquon Barkley. Those are my 1A, 1B.
Because they're getting the ball a lot.
Yeah, they're getting the ball a lot, and they're that primary source of touches on their team. You know, Christian McCaffrey outside of DJ Moore, who's really getting that ball? You know, Saquon outside of their wide receivers that they spread the ball to, there's not really someone that stands out like a like a Julio Jones or a Michael Thomas or someone to where you know they're going to get a lot of that share. So they get the volume, and that's what you want. The only thing that is concerning is that typically running backs, whoever scores the highest points out of running backs, wide receivers, they don't repeat. But I believe that both of those guys will be top 5 running backs by the end of the year, so you can't really go wrong with it.
Okay. That's good advice. See, you heard it here first. We have all kinds of stuff for you, breaking news and fantasy football tips and all kinds of stuff. So you're going to be having that on your channel? Is that what you're going to be doing? Or you've already done it?
Yeah, so we just started kind of teasing it a little bit with some mock drafts, stuff like that. But come season time, me and Real will go live. So you guys can ask questions, we can interact with you and kind of break down some things. So we'll give you some opinions, we'll give you some facts, whatever you need to make those choices. But yeah, we're starting to break things down. We call it the Fantasy Football Academy. You know, come join.
Come join and get some knowledge.
Right.
No, for real. I mean, that was funny, for real. Anyway.
Right.
But I just thought about that when I said it. So, no, I mean, so you think you guys are going to be going back to it and growing your channel and stuff like that? It's the Real Detroit, say it again.
Real Detroit Lions fans.
Real Detroit. Why do I always say sports? I always say that. Real Detroit Lions fans channel, and you should subscribe to these guys. They know what they're talking about, obviously. If you listen to Andrew, you know he knows what he's talking about. So subscribe to their channel. And he's on the DSA roundtable every once in a while. Not always, but, you know, he gets there. And it's like me. Sometimes I don't make it either.
Right.
So we have such a good time. We had such a good time. There's a lot of leaders in our group. And I think that's what makes it special, is that everybody has their own different little thing and twist and things that they bring. And I really like what we have going in the DSA. I suggest you check us out. All the DSA members are down to the lower, let's see, it'd be your right-hand when you're looking at the screen. And just go down the row and click and subscribe to all of them. You'll be doing yourself a favor. You really will.
Yeah.
Man, it's been a good interview. Is there anything you want to say to your fans about your channel? The floor is yours, man.
So obviously the first thing that comes to mind is I really hope we have a season, because
oh my God, yes.
A lot of us that are creating content, if there's no season, it's going to be a very tough year. It's going to be a very tough year to come up with things, because you're going to end up having people do rankings lists and who's the best of all time and what do you think the Lions should do? And man, that's what we've been doing the last couple months. A lot of content creators. So if we don't have a season,
you just went dark at the right time. Right
I know. I did that on purpose. But it's just gonna be rough, So I mean, if you are a Lions fan, definitely tune into DSA. We talk Tuesdays, Thursdays, typically around 8 p.m. And if you're a real Detroit Lions fan, hop onto our channel. And if you are interested in fantasy, even if you've never played and you want to show up some coworkers or some friends that think that you don't know sports, definitely come tune in and we will give you the advice, because we're here to help you. Whatever secrets, whatever questions you guys have, we're willing to share, because we're not in your league, so we don't have to worry about it. But we did
being real.
Right, but we did think about doing a league with some of the fans and some DSA members. So if you guys want to interact with us, we might try and set that up. We just want to make sure that there's a season first so we can do it. So if you want, leave a comment, reach out to us or find us on Twitter, just Real Detroit Lions Fans. My username is just Andrew on that. And then you got my partner, Real. And just let us know, and we'll help you out.
Sounds great. I appreciate you coming on today. I know you have a lot going on, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate what you do for the elderly community also.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Click the subscribe button and then hit the bell and then hit the like. And after that, take a break. It's been exhausting. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. We're out.